Hey, I'm Stephanie, and today we're trying some makeup from a brand I've never heard of before. They're called Ahora México, and they are very colorful. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm actually really looking forward to it. They sent me this package in this box. I haven't even opened it yet. I'm going to open it, unbox it with you, give you my first impressions of everything, including the application process. We're going to put it on together, and at the end of this, I'll let you know what I think about this brand new to me brand. I always use timestamps, so if you're looking for something specific, feel free to hop, skip, and jump around the video using those. We're going to start off by unboxing this to see what everything looks like. This first very hefty box, it looks like, is the eyeshadow palette. So let's take off the cardboard sleeve. And here we have a very brightly colored box. I think this is probably hinting at the bright colors within. And when we open it up, this looks like a very luxurious unboxing experience. It feels like it too. Almost like when you open an iPhone, you know how they make that experience very luxurious? It almost feels like that, but for makeup. So they even give you a nice little piece of tissue paper here. And this is what the eyeshadow palette looks like, also housed in its own little cardboard thing here. Inside the box, it says, "This is a plastic-free, timeless object designed to fight waste in the makeup industry. After you explore its colors, remove its insert and reuse it as an accessory or a pyramid to store your hidden treasures. Also, remove this cardboard insert here and use this box as a colorful chest for your valuables. Both can also be fully recycled so that they can take on their next life in a new form. Signed, Con amor, color y sin plástico, México." As you can tell, I don't speak Spanish, but I think it means with love, color, and without plastic from Mexico. So that's really interesting. We can reuse this box. And to be honest, this is the sort of thing I would reuse. I don't know if you've ever seen that video from, was it the Holdernesses? Where they're just like, this is a very nice box.
Yeah, it's a pretty good box. You may have to return something.
This is a very nice box. So I will be keeping that. And let's take a look at the eyeshadow palette, because the makeup's actually what we're here for, right? So when I open this up, it has "Estas son las letras de un nuevo alfabeto de color," which maybe it means a new alphabet of color. I'm just guessing here. I have no idea. All my Spanish speakers out there, I'm very sorry that I'm butchering the language, but I'm doing my best. So this is what the eyeshadow palette looks like. It reminds me of, I don't even know what. This is just very different from anything that I've seen lately. I think Urban Decay did a couple of palettes where they, like years ago, where they kind of set up the pans in different shapes like this. But here we have all these different colors, which look very intimidating to someone like me who's a beige babe. But I am very interested in trying this because I recently received another very colorful palette in PR and I ended up really liking it and I've actually been using it. So who knows, maybe I'm slowly starting to come into my color era, but I just want to see if I can take this out. Can I pop this out easily? Because it says in the packaging that you can remove this. Okay, so you can actually remove this whole thing here. And then you have like a little jewelry box if you want to use it for that. So I think that's pretty cool. I like the fact that everything's fully recyclable and that there is no plastic. So we have the eyeshadow palette. Let's see what else is in the box. Ah, a note. It says, "Together we can make a negative impact. Positive vibes alone won't save our planet. It's time to take action. Did you know that for every plastic product recycled globally, 9 are not? And it's not your fault. Brands are still designing unrecyclable, full of plastic products destined for trash from the get-go. That's why being 100% plastic-free was not enough. We decided to start cleaning the trash of our industry. For every AORA product you've received, we're removing 9 times the plastic pollution in partnership with Repurpose Global. This 100% plastic-free brand is now plastic negative. See? Some negative news is good news." I like that. This brand is already making me kind of happy. And the remaining products in the box are all very colorfully packaged. I like that. It's a very joyful experience from the get-go. So what else do we have in here? This says Cafe #1, so I'm assuming this is probably an eyeliner. This reminds me of like Toblerone packaging for those chocolates. And it's kind of chocolate colored, so that makes sense. Okay, so we'll use this eyeliner today. And they also sent, it looks like 2 eyeliners. So let's take a look at these. This color is Rosa 5, so that's probably a pink, I assume. A lip pencil, this looks like. Ah, this looks like a very nice color. I can't wait to swatch this, but I want to do it when I can show you a little bit better. So this is a nice sharpenable pencil. Those are actually always my favorite liners. They always have been. Let's see what color this one is. This is the color Roja number 2. So I'm assuming this is a red. Oh yes, Roja. That is very red. That is lovely. I can't wait to try that one out. And it looks like they sent me 2 lip products, so let's see what these are. We have this, I don't know how to pronounce that. Maybe one of you could try to explain it to me in the comments. I don't even know if that's possible. Can we explain pronunciation understandably in the comments? Let's see, this shade is Avanta number 2. Spanish is one of those languages I've always wanted to learn, but I've kind of stuck with the Germanic languages for now. I took some French in middle school, so any of the Spanish guesswork that I do is based on my middle school French, which I'm not sure how reliable that is. I'm having kind of a hard time opening this. I think I need a tool. Let's see, I'm gonna try using this little palette thingamabob. This is normally what I use to scrape out my makeup. Let's see if I can scrape out this packaging. I don't know if this is just me. It's just paper too. It's not like there's anything sticky. Okay, here is the lip product. And it says, "Let me caress your lips." Okay. That's bold. Is the color bold? We'll see. Oh, it's very dark. Oh, dark and sparkly. It smells a little bit minty. I wonder what that's going to mean. I wonder if it's going to feel like a plumper or if it's going to feel, I don't know, just like a normal balm that just smells a little bit like mint. We'll see. That's what we're here to do today, is try everything on. And will this one open easily? Oh yeah, this one went a little bit easier. This shade also says, "Let me caress your lips." And this is shade number 3, Rosa. Oh, and this is a very me color. I'm usually pretty good with pink, so that will be fun. Does this one smell? Yep, they smell the same. So I'm excited to see how they feel on the lips. But it looks like they're the same formula. Yeah, the solid lip serum. I like that. A lip serum, that sounds like very soothing and nourishing. So we'll see how those feel in a minute. Just based on the packaging concept alone and the things that they wrote in the promo materials here, I just want to take a closer look at the brand because it sounds like they have an interesting backstory. So on their website, it says, "Why Ahora? Why right now?" It says, "It's time for something new from somewhere else. Luxury beauty has long been defined by European and Northern trends, with top makeup artists and creatives emerging from cities like Paris, Milan, and New York. But what about the untold stories? Clean beauty hasn't embraced full color. The category has become uninspired, often dominated by predictable neutrals and beige tones. That's where I'm at home. It's time to infuse clean beauty with bold, vibrant innovation. And I'm excited to try it. A little nervous, but anytime there's something new, I'm a little nervous. And here they go on to explain their name, which is good for us non-Spanish speakers. It says, "What's in our name? Ahora means now. Our name, from the Spanish word ahora, meaning now, embodies a deep desire for change, an urgent call for something new from somewhere else. It's time for the beauty industry to wake up to a fresh perspective, to hear untold voices in makeup, to see creativity like never before, and to truly sense the power of color." And of course, they include their background in here. "From Mexico with love. Vibrancy born in Mexico. For us, color isn't a trend. It's a ritual, a force of change. Mexico is a canvas, and its vibrancy leaves an indelible mark on all who experience it. As someone who spends a lot of time outside the country, I really always enjoy seeing different perspectives in clothing, in music, and now in makeup. I think this is really interesting, so I'm looking forward to trying this. They go on to say even more, but I think the most important thing to do now is to dive into it because they have mentioned some very big claims here. For example, the fact that they are very luxurious, that they are very bold, and that they are trying to challenge the standard that we know from brands like Chanel and Dior with that, very traditional packaging, what luxury looks like. And I, as a lover of luxury makeup, am actually really excited to see how these perform because I know personally most of the luxury makeup that I own is pretty beige, partially because I like that sort of thing. But I'm interested to see how a more colorful version of luxury can look. So let's dive in and let's start with the eyes. All right, I've got the eyeshadow palette here. I am moving my light here a little bit closer. Let me turn the light down so everything's not just washed out. Okay, and because I'm wearing kind of a bluish greenish thing today, I want to go with a complementary color. So I think I'm gonna maybe try the orange, maybe dabble a little bit in the red. I don't know, we'll see what we'll do. Maybe I'll do a sunset eye, add a little bit of that purple. And I want to look at some of these colors here, the shimmers, I think are really nice. I think that's a nice combination. Actually, the fact that we get these nice bold jewel tones in these colors, but they also give us some neutrals to work with in the form of a silver. This looks like a white and this looks like a gold, but let me swatch these just to see. Let's see, this is the white that I'm swatching now. Oh, this is very sparkly. Let me see if I can get a nice swatch of that. So this is like white. It's kind of got a sheer base to it. It does have some white to it, but it's almost more like a veil of color. But those sparklies in there, I like those particles, how tiny they are, but how they really catch the light. I think that's really, really nice looking. So let's see what the other shimmers look like. We've got the silver and we've got the gold. And here, let me show you the fingers first. So this is what they look like in the light. Nice and shiny. Looks like a typical metallic formula. They feel very lightweight. Yeah, they don't feel like super gooey or heavy or dimethicone-y. Although I have to say the gold and silver feel a little bit more dimethicone-y, especially the silver, than actually the gold too, yeah. The white was a little bit lighter weight and the silver and gold feel a little bit more like your typical metallics. But look how sheer that gold is. I really like that because for me, someone who's very shy in general when it comes to color, I feel like that gives me the ability to play with the gold without it being too much for me. The silver here, that is almost blinding though. I think my personal favorites here are the white and the gold. So maybe we'll have to bring those into there too. Should we just swatch the rest? Why don't we do that? All right, so we have the purple, we've got the blue, and the orange. Okay, these are bold colors, it's apparent from the pan, but what I can say is that my first impression of them, just swatching them, it looks like they're going to be pretty easy for even me to work with. That says a lot because I am not an expert in color. But let's get some more swatches here. We will do the green here. I'm going to swatch that black again just because I swatched it from the wrong side. Let's see. Yeah, that black's a little bit patchy, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because swatches don't necessarily say everything about how they're going to actually be on the eye. So we'll have to give these a try. But my first impression of the swatches is it has potential even for someone like me who is a beige babe and doesn't tend to go for all that much color. I just tried to wipe these swatches off and they're kind of staying, which I think is a good sign for the longevity. So we'll see how that actually turns out on the eyes, but the formula looks promising so far. I want to go in with this orange shade. Now, what I'm noticing with this is that this hinge isn't very stiff. What I really like is when a palette can stand up on its own, and this one does not do that. So that is a pet peeve of mine. However, I don't think that's necessarily a problem for most people because I think a lot of people would just be laying this down on their vanity or maybe their bathroom counter to use it instead of, trying to hold it like I am. But if you are someone who likes to hold your palettes, you're going to have to figure out exactly how to hold this shape so that the mirror isn't flopping in your way. So I'm just going to go right in with that orange and see what happens. And I'm a little intimidated, but I think it's going to be good. We're just going to go for it all over the eye. And to prep my eyes, I cannot find my eyeshadow primer anywhere. So I just have the Salt New York concealer all over my face today. That's the only base makeup that I have on. And I just put some on my eyes too, just to kind of get rid of any of the color there. And that's it. I powdered it then after that with my Givenchy Prisme Libre loose powder, the original formula that got discontinued. All right, so right now with the first layer, it went on nicely. It wasn't patchy, but it wasn't necessarily as vibrant or as, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't quite as opaque as I thought it was going to be either, which I actually think is nice because normally I like a more sheer look. So I do think you can go sheer with this if you want to. But I'm going to see what happens here. I'm going to go really opaque as I can on that lid. And you can build it up to get it very opaque. When I look at this in my magnifying mirror, what I really like about it is it doesn't do that thing that some of my favorite eyeshadows do, which is where they kind of almost like melt into the skin and become one with the skin. It might do that over time, but these are a little bit more powdery, but it's not the type of powder that sits on your skin. It's like, I don't know, it's just this light, very blendable, very malleable veil. It's just very easy to work with, very easy to blend. So I'm not having any patchiness issues here. I can get that sheer look that I like if I want it, but I'm also able to build it up pretty well. It is a little bit patchy on my eye right there, but I honestly think that's because my eyelid is a little bit oily right now and I don't have any primer. So I'm just going to tap some in with my finger just to see what happens. And then that patchiness goes right away. Yeah, but this orange shade is actually really working out well. I like the quality of this. It's very lightweight. It's not weighing down the skin at all, and it's also not looking powdery, but it's somehow also still managing to look like makeup, but in a good way. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like some of my favorite Charlotte Tilbury matte shades, the Lancome Quint matte shades, what else? There's like the Tom Ford Creme formula. Those kind of melt into the skin, and this isn't doing that. I don't know. It's almost like just this lightweight, almost blurring powder, but I really enjoy the finish of this. The question is, do I want to go in with the orange on the bottom? I kind of do. I kind of just want to do an orange eye, but I think that'd be a little bit boring. Or maybe I should do like one eye in one color and one eye in the other. I mean, this is a very colorful palette. Maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe that's what we'll do. I need to get a different brush though. This eye is going to be orange and gold. That's what we're going to do. And I'm just going to take this underneath and stay really close to my lower lash line. I'm going to get in this corner here. I feel like as I'm getting older, this corner here, it's harder to get coverage because it's almost like when my eye is closed, the skin sags down a little bit. And then when I open my eye, it somehow lifts up. And I always find that I have this little bald spot here just because I can't access it as easily. Okay, I'm just going to go real close with my magnifying mirror here. Yeah, that's looking really nice. I have no complaints. My first impression is I'm impressed with the first shadow. But you know what I think I want to do? I think I want to go in with the gold shade and just put that on the lid and see what that does. And I'm just going to use my finger to do that. That ended up being a lot more, I don't know, opaque than I thought it was going to be, because when I did the swatch, it kind of blended out into almost nothing, a very pretty nothing, but it blended out into a very gold almost nothing. And I don't know if that's because I have slight golden undertones in my skin that it just didn't show up quite as well. But on top of this orange, it's becoming a much more opaque gold. So that's more than I was expecting. But this is also very lightweight. As I'm putting this on, I feel like it's not weighing down my eye or adding to any texture, which is really nice. Yeah, Very nice. It's not a very heavy shadow at all, which I like. Before we do the other eye though, I want to use this eyeliner on this eye because I think that will be fun. This is the shade Cafe. It is a brown, and we're just going to see how easy this is to go on. Some fallout from my mascara. It's flaking out a little bit. So I'm trying to get down into that corner that sometimes gets bald nowadays. I'm trying to think. This is like a very soft, like when I press it in like this, it's a very soft liner. And I'm not having a hard time getting it onto my eyes, but it's also not quite as glidey as some eyeliners are, which I'm hoping will mean it has good staying power. But if you saw one of my recent Get Ready With Me videos, you'll see that I was applying a liner from Clinique, and it was just very hard to get a smooth line. And this one I'm getting a smooth line with. It's just taking a little bit of effort, and I don't know if that's because it needs to be warmed up, so maybe I'd have to try warming it up next time. But it's not that cold here today, so I think maybe it's just not quite as glidey as some of my favorite liners are. But I do like that brown. It's like a soft, warm brown. And I do like that. I'm going to add a little bit more of my Clinique High Impact Mascara in the shade Black Honey, just to kind of finish off the eye. I have just a little bit on already, but we need a little bit more drama now that there's some color on there. Oop. My bad. Oh, there's eye number one. Okay, I think when I was trying to fix my little mascara mess up here, I took off a little bit of the orange because I was rubbing it off. So I'm just going to add a little bit more back in there. There we go. I guess it's on to eye number two now. Editing, Stephanie here. I'm watching the footage and just saw that I didn't record the second eye. Like I recorded the very last part of it, but I don't know. I didn't press record. My bad. So I applied the pink color all over my eyelid the same way I did the orange, and I have to say it went on just the same. I feel like the formulas are very similar, if not exactly the same. And then I applied some of the silver as a topper over the pink, which worked the same way as the gold did. It was a little bit more intense, so I went in and I patted it off on my hand before I applied it to the eye with my finger, and that's how I got that look. And then I applied the black as a liner. That's where we leave off. Really sorry I didn't show you, but I'm going to be doing a follow-up video to this where I actually do a review where I give you my full thoughts on this collection, because I think whenever a new brand comes out and they have claims about sustainability and about clean and about, you know, how they're the pinnacle of luxury, I want to test those thoroughly. So I will be testing those, and when I do that, you'll get a more thorough, fully filmed example of the different shades. Back to your regularly scheduled try-on. Yeah, that black did give me some fallout, and I don't know. I'll have to see if I can get rid of that. So, note to self, if I want to use this palette, the black, at the very least, has to be done first before I do the rest of my complexion makeup. And then I'm just going to put that white here in the inner corner. Oh, and I like that because it's almost like translucent. It's not super bright so that it's really drawing your attention, but it kind of just adds up a little bit of brightness in there. And I can build that up too, because I feel like the first time I went in, it was barely there. And I think that's what I would probably do most days. But when I have this much color on my eye, I think it's fun to balance it out with a little bit of brightness in there. Now I want to add some mascara to this pink colored eye as well. Now we have to see what I'm going to do with the lips. I tried to get rid of the fallout from the black on this eye, and I'm not sure I did the best job. I was kind of wiping and it kind of took off my foundation. So I put a little bit more of the Salt New York Best Case Concealer on my cheek because that's what I was using as my foundation today. So we'll see if that does it on camera. If in real life it looks somewhat decent, but I'm not sure. It always translates a little bit differently on camera. So if it looks wonky or weird, then forgive me. But they also sent me some lip products, and I think I want to try to use both of these liners just to see what they're like. I'm going to start with the red, which is bold for me. I'm not used to red, but we're going to try it. Let's see if I can move this closer. And I just want to make sure I'm far enough away so that you can see what I'm doing. All right. Okay, I have to use quite a bit of pressure to get it going there. But it gives me a nice fine line. Very nice. So this is kind of like an orangey, corally red almost. I think we're just going to go around the lips and do an ombre sort of thing. Okay, now that I'm using it more, it's kind of warming up and it's going on much easier. I don't know if you can tell. But I feel like I don't have to put nearly as much pressure on anymore. Oh, that actually blends really easily. I don't have any gloss or anything on my lips. They're actually a little bit dry. I'm sorry if they look dry, but it's real life. That actually looks really nice just on its own. It feathered out really nicely on the lips, but not onto the face skin, which I like. It's like, you know, it still has that nice solid line, but it blended well. I want to see what this looks like on the inside if we do an ombre from like red to pink. We're going to see, we do the real test, see how it works on this really dry skin on my bottom lip here. It is catching on that dry skin there, but any product would catch there. So that's not the fault of the pencil. Okay, and that's feeling like just a teeny tiny bit sticky. I don't know if you can see my lips stick together. Just the tiniest bit. I wonder if that's going to dry down. Should I wait? I'll wait. Okay, I'm done waiting. I'm impatient. But I do feel like it is less sticky. So I do think it dries down, which is funny because it doesn't feel like it's a wet formula. Now, with these little tubes of lipstick, they feel very lightweight, but they also feel like very tiny. Part of me likes that because I'm tiny. I think I want to try the black just because this is intriguing me a little bit and I'm doing a bolder look. And I think I maybe have to come back once I've used this a little bit more and do another look that's like more subtle to see if I can combine the AORA aesthetic with my own beige babeness and see if I can kind of find the best of both worlds where I meet in the middle. But today, since I'm going more extreme, instead of going for the nude pink lipstick, which would normally be my go-to, I'm going to go for Vanta, which is this black shade here. And we want to see how that looks. Okay, and a little piece of the lipstick came off and it's kind of stuck there. So let's see. Okay, but it melts in right away, so maybe it's just that it was cold, little cold. This goes on really nice. When they say it's a lip serum, that makes sense. It feels kind of serum-y almost. I'm gonna have to see if I can find a before shot before I put this on so we can see the difference between the color. I feel like it just kind of darkened the color a little bit. And I feel like this would be the sort of product that kind of just makes the lips look a little bit darker in general, maybe a little grungy. I can't wait to try it on its own. Okay, I was a little bit concerned that this was going to kind of burn a little bit because it smelled minty, but it feels a little bit minty on my lips, but it's not burning. I have kind of sensitive lips, so I'm usually concerned about that sort of thing. I'll have to wear it for a while and see if the mintiness bothers me or dries my lips out. But right now, at this moment in time, it's not bothering me. And if I get it on my tongue, oh, it does that thing where it kind of like tastes like menthol. A little bit cold. That's that. But the thing is, now that I've got all this bold color on my face and I have nothing on my cheeks, it's feeling a little extreme. So I'm wondering if I want to risk putting the mintiness on my face. Let's see. I think we're going to try the good old trick of using a lip product on the face. And we're just going to see if it works. So I'm just going to go in and dab some of this pink on my cheeks, just to add some color in there. See if it works. It's very lightweight and serum-y, so it shouldn't look too makeup-y or heavy. Try to blend that a little bit. Or I'm wondering if I should have used the pink. Ooh. Just a moment, I'm popular. Okie dokie. Yeah, you know what I think I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna powder this down and I don't know, because this is really pink. But maybe we should try it as a blush because they made it a really big pan, so I almost think they intend you to use it as a blush. Oh, I don't know. You know what? On this cheek, we'll do this, and on this cheek, we'll do the pink, and we'll see how that looks. That's what we'll do. Since we're doing two different looks on each side of the face anyway. The unifying factor shall be the lips. All right, I'm just gonna powder that down. That's not burning my face or anything, so that's a good sign. All right, so I'm going to put some Prisme Libre on that. And that way we can also kind of see more what the color looks like, because before I think we were seeing a lot of shine. I'm just going to powder this cheek as well, because when I added more concealer to cover up that fallout, it got a little bit serum-y. So I'm going to take this X52 brush from Esom Cosmetics and I'm going to put it right down into this pink. And see how they made this shape here bigger than a lot of the other ones? I think maybe they're even intending us to use that as a blush. There's not a whole lot of fallout when I tap it off. But yeah, see how like it looks so intense in the pan. It looks so intense on my eye, yet when I'm putting it on my cheek, it's actually doable because I'm using a fluffy brush. I just went in that once and tapped it off, but I feel like that's giving me a little bit of color there. It's probably a little bit more color than I was planning on, but this whole look is a whole lot more colorful than I'm used to, so I'm still trying to get used to the balance. And also, I wouldn't normally do a bold lip and a bold eye. But of course, today we are just experimenting to see what the textures feel like, how they go on, how they apply, what the different products do, and how they mix together. So this isn't necessarily a demonstration of a look that I think I would wear, you know, to go out. It's more of a makeup playtime sort of thing. But for the fact that it's my first time trying it and I was just going crazy with all the color, I think it actually turned out really well. Let's take a closer look at it. One thing I will say about every single one of these products is that they all feel lightweight. Nothing felt chunky or heavy. The lip product, I feel like almost melts into the skin. It really does feel like a lip serum, which is really pleasant. And I feel like it gives a nice juicy look to the lips without feeling heavy or uncomfortable. In fact, I can't really feel it at all. It's just when I rub my lips together, they feel very moisturized. It's very comfortable. The lip liner, I do not feel. Once it dried down, the stickiness was gone, and I just feel like I'm left with just a very vibrant color. But of course, I can't say anything to the staying power yet because this is the very first time I've ever had it on and it's only been a few minutes. When it comes to the powders of the eyeshadows, they are all very lightweight with the 5 different shadows that I tried today, or 6 different shadows that I tried today. They're all very lightweight. They sit very nicely on the skin without looking powdery or heavy. So far, so good. They are not creasing despite the fact that my oily hooded eyelids have no primer on them. So we'll just have to see how that is in some future tests. I can come and report back about that. When it comes to using the lip serum on the cheek, I was a little bit concerned with that mintiness that it might irritate my skin, but so far so good. I don't feel it at all really. But I did of course have to powder it down because it was quite dewy in here. The matte eyeshadow that I used for a blush over here, I feel like it blended really well. It also is just creating a very thin veil of color over the skin. So I do feel like these powders are pretty versatile. I don't think you need to be as vibrant as I went today. And I'm really looking forward to experimenting with them like that to see how they work. But I really like how the shimmers are sitting on top of the mattes. I feel like it doesn't make them look any thicker. They're not patchy. I think that the white on the inner corner is very easy to wear. That's the sort of thing I could probably wear all over my lids and it would just make my lids look almost wet or glossy, which I think is nice. So I'll have to try wearing it like that. But I see no patchiness. I just see this beautiful thin veil of color. So you're not really seeing the makeup, you're just seeing the color, which I think is nice because one of the things that I'm always a little bit nervous about is my typical look my everyday look is kind of a no makeup look where you don't really see that I'm wearing makeup. I just look a little bit more put together than if I just rolled out of bed. And so I'm used to trying to get as lightweight a look as possible. And this manages to do that. All I'm seeing is the color. I'm not seeing the actual substance of the products. My first impressions of Ahora México are very positive, especially when it comes to the eyeshadows and the lip serums. I feel like they definitely hit the luxury mark that they were aiming for with those products because the powders and the eyeshadows feel extraordinarily lightweight. They don't weigh the skin down at all on the eyelids. They don't make my lids look creepy, which is an issue with some sorts of shadows nowadays. But even the metallics on my eyelids are not drawing attention to texture. I feel like it's a very easy formula to wear. As we could see from the blush experiment here on this cheek, the formulas can be sheared out, but they can also be made very vivid, and it's not a whole lot of effort to do that. I didn't see any patchiness. I of course don't know how any of this is going to wear because I've only just put it on right now, but at least based on this first application experience, I think that the products are very well made and very high quality. When it comes to the lip serums, they are extremely lightweight. They feel nourishing despite the fact that there's not a lot to them, and I really like that. I like the juiciness that they give the lips, and I do like the fact that I can't really feel them while they're on there. So I look forward to playing more with those, seeing how long they last as well. When it comes to the liners, I'm not so sure that those were the standout products for me, but they definitely weren't bad. I do want to see more of how they react, maybe as I use them a little bit more, to see if it was the temperature that was making them a little bit stiffer than I'd like. What I do have to say is the ultimate effect that I was able to get with them was very smooth, and it wasn't patchy like some of the other liners that I've recently talked about. So I do think that they're okay, but to me, I think the real standout products are more in the eyeshadow palette and the lippy direction. As always, we need to take first impressions with a grain of salt. There are so many different factors when it comes to makeup. How long is it going to wear? I don't know that yet. How well does it do in different climate conditions? I don't know that yet either, but time will tell, as it always does. And it will also tell if I reach for this sort of thing. As a beige babe, am I going to be enticed to reach for a very vivid jewel-toned eyeshadow palette? If any palette has a chance of doing that, it's probably one like this because the colors can be sheared out. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it kind of fits into my everyday life as time goes on. What I'd be curious to know is, had you heard about this brand before I talked about them today? Because I had never heard about them before they showed up on my doorstep. But I am glad I got the opportunity to try them because this was very outside my comfort zone, but it was a whole lot of fun to do, a whole lot of fun to try. And I look forward to seeing how this might potentially integrate into my everyday makeup routine. If you'd like to follow along with that and see what the results are after I've had some more time to test out these products, then make sure you like, comment, subscribe, leave me any questions that you might have so I can answer them in a follow-up video. And if you enjoy beauty content that celebrates the new as well as our old and treasured products, then I hope that you'll consider sticking around because that's what we do here. Thanks for hanging out, and to all of my patrons and channel members, including my Adagio angels, for making content like this possible. I hope we can all remember that even stumbling is a form of moving forward. So let's stumble in style.